Happy Wednesday, First Baptist family. I am back in our sanctuary with my mask on. In fact, I'll actually have something on a little different on Sunday, but we are asking you to wear a mask. And remember, if you are coming Sunday, please make a reservation on the church website by tomorrow afternoon, or call Patsy Morales at 247-4122, and then you'll be prompted to push 2 and then 222. And Patsy will be glad to put your name on our list. When you get here, remember we're going to be parking in the bank lot on Holston Street, on Charlemont Street. The doors that'll be open will be the front doors facing the circle, and then the doors facing Holston Street. The piano entrance there where the awning is, what we call the music lobby, the old welcome center, and our upper atrium. So just be aware of all those locations where you can enter our building. Remember, the services are at 9 and 11. If you can't be here, they'll be live streamed on Facebook Live, on YouTube, and on the church website. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. If you can't be here in person, hopefully you can be here via our online. Now remember, if you come, we're going to ask you to do this. Just wear that mask. And you're going to do it to protect yourself, but also to protect others. So thank you so much for your cooperation. We're going to have a best mask contest, and I hope you're going to come with a really nice mask on Sunday. It'll be a fun time, and I'm looking forward to worshiping with you. Now, we won't sing, but maybe we can hum, and we're going to have a great time together. So I look forward to seeing you in person in this room on Sunday morning. Now, I'm sitting here in the choir loft. We will not have a choir Sunday. We don't know when we'll be able to start that again. But some of the funniest stories of my life all revolve around things that happen in church. And I want you to listen to the text for today's little devotional thought I wrote, and it's in Acts chapter 20, verses 7 through 12. On the first day of the week, when we met to break bread, Paul was holding a discussion. Since he intended to leave the next day, he continued speaking until midnight. There were many lamps in the rooms upstairs where we were meeting. A young man named Eutychus, who was sitting in the window, began to sink off into a deep sleep while Paul talked still longer. Overcome by sleep, he fell to the ground 3 floors below and was picked up dead. But Paul went down, and bending over, he took him in his arms and said, "Don't be alarmed, for his life is in him." And then Paul went upstairs, and after he had broken bread and eaten, he continued to converse with him until dawn, and then he left. Meanwhile, they had taken the boy away alive and were not a little comforted. Now, I don't know if you've ever fallen asleep in church or not, but I've got a bird's eye view of that, and I've seen people do all sorts of things so that it would seem to masquerade the fact they were asleep. I had a person in a previous church who had a fine art of going to sleep, sitting in the third row of the choir. This person could take their bulletin just like this and somehow had the gift of being able to balance it while, quote unquote, keeping the light out of their eyes, and they could sleep just like that. All during my sermon, I'd look around and this person would just be having a nice nap. I don't know how that person perfected this art, because I can't do it without dropping the bulletin, but there you go. Now, I had other folks, people just go to sleep. I don't preach very long, but apparently I don't keep everybody energized. I have a dear, dear friend who's now with the Lord, who was the mayor of the city where I've served previously. And he was one of my dearest friends, but the minute I stood up to do the sermon, his head went down like this, and he fell asleep. And I said to him one day, you're the mayor. It would be really nice if you could stay awake during the sermon. And he looked at me and he said, "I look at it totally differently, Marvin. I look at it like this. It's a sense of confidence that everything you say, I'll agree with." Well, he kept sleeping. I had another person who went to sleep driving. Well, that's kind of a challenge, isn't it? And so this person had a piece put on their ear so that if their head went below this, it went to beeping. Well, every Sunday for a good while, we heard beeping when the sermon started. So, Eutychus is there. It's an all-night church service. You ever been to an all-night church service? I never have done that. Paul had a way with words, but he used lots and lots of words. In fact, most English teachers would slap him on the wrist for too many run-on sentences. Now, it's the last night he's going to be there, and so he talks and he talks and he talks and he talks and he talks, and there are lots of lamps in the room, lamps putting off heat and light, and it must have gotten warm, and Eutychus is over there sitting in the window, maybe trying to get some cool air. Have you ever had that moment, maybe driving at night, when you just keep falling asleep and you wake up? And I've driven where I had the windows down, the air conditioner on full blast, and the radio on as loud as it could go just to keep me awake. Now, we may try that if you fall asleep in church on Sunday, because I don't think that I can pick you up off Sullivan Street if you fall out the window and bring you back to life the way Paul did. Well, what's all this business about falling asleep in church? Well, you know, everybody there was so energized by seeing Paul, Eutychus probably got taken there by his folks. He probably wanted to stay home and watch Bonanza on television. If you're as old as I am, you remember when Bonanza came on Sunday night, and if you didn't get out of church on time, you missed Bonanza. I don't know what his motivation was. He was just a tired young fella. Well, I hope you'll stay awake on Sunday, and I hope we'll keep you awake whether you're sitting at home with your coffee, watching us online, or you're right here in person, because I really believe our worship on Sunday will be stimulating, our music will be wonderful, and we will be so glad to see you again if you're able to be here in person. Now, if you're sick or you're cautious, please don't worry about that. But if you do come, mask up. You know what? If you're going to fall asleep, you might just go like that. I'll see you Sunday.